This is a series of videos here, and you see right now starting. This is me, Rob, and Beth riding in the neighbor's driveway. Actually, you can see ours is to the right, and it's a stone driveway. And you saw that telephone pole back there, which is right at the end of the driveway. But we think maybe I'm about 9 here, and Beth might be about 3 or 4, something like that. 3. This is the backyard of our house. Right next door is the neighbors there, and we were doing some construction. My dad had put an addition on, and there we are running around. Beth and I are running around, and that we're chasing our dog Duchess, who I talked about, the wiener dog. And you can see her there running around the yard, and that's a pretty good representation of what she looked like um, in the yard. And there's my dad, Bob Cusick, and he's going to be throwing Beth around a little bit and playing in the backyard. There was a small little backyard on Cortland Avenue. You see the little picket fence there that divided the neighbors behind us and to the side of us. And my dad there kicks me in the rear end. And but you see Duchess, and you see Duchess, if you look closely, Duchess had a crooked tail, had a little crook in her tail. Now we think that's Kathy. We were looking at this. We think that might be Kathy, Beth, and I sitting on the swing. And I do remember that swing a little bit. We had that, and you'll see I think there's about 2 or 3 years of these videos, so you can see the kind of progression of everybody in these videos. But we think that's Kathy. There's more of my dad. He's going to swing Beth around and kind of hit me in the head there. Now that guy on the left, that's my grandpa Les Cusick, now sitting by Kathy, and there's Grandma B sitting there with Beth in that lounge chair, and the backyard was kind of a nice old place. There's a picnic table back there, you'll see, and different things. But I don't know whether my grandpa had just come from church or whatever, that he was wearing a white shirt and tie. But Beth again, and we think about maybe 3 years old, and a little more Duchess action there. You can see Duchess. Duchess actually had a brother that lived down with Helen Ridenauer, Helen Walker, then later on had Duchess's brother, and his name was Frank. And so there was actually another wiener dog. So there's the whole family. My dad there on the left in the back, and Grandma V's waving right there. And it's funny how people with a video camera on them all kind of stand there. We think maybe Trudy is pregnant there for young David. Beth is there, so um, we think she is. When she stands up, you can kind of see that. And there I am doing showing some of my awesome climbing skills. And coordination. Yeah, you can see Trudy's pregnant. We think Trudy's pregnant right there for young David. My grandpa's probably getting kind of fed up with all this movement there. He stands up like he's ready to get out of there. Now this is my there's young Dave then. So this is probably like a year later, right? So that's my in Waterloo, Indiana. That's my grandfather there. David Johnson was his name. And I kind of vaguely remember, and they had a place in Waterloo, which I think I've told you I used to think was a farm, but I think he just had a very large garden there. And so they're letting young David there, Davy we used to call him. They're letting him crawl around on the ground there. and you can see, and I actually remember this thing, this tetherball type of thing. It's like a wiffle ball tied to a pole, and my dad and Beth are hitting it with fly swatters. So that gives you an idea of what we used to do for fun back in those days. You can see a little bit. They used to have vines, and they had all kinds of things growing back there, berries and so on. Like I said, I remember it as a farm, but then when I talked about it, people corrected me and said no, he wasn't on a farm. It was, but he did have a very large garden. Now, there's Grandma B and then Grandma Johnson. Um, and I can see that. I can make out like they used to have this shed in the back there. That's this big shed building that they had back there. And Grandma B and her father there and mother. And there's my dad once again. So everybody's sitting there getting pictures taken on a video camera, which, by the way, none of these video cameras at that time had sound on them. They were all just, you could take a video but no sound. More of the fun with the fly swatters and hitting a wiffle ball around a pole for excitement. And that's Beth, probably now age 4, and Davey, age 1. I wasn't invited to that trip, obviously. So here I am now. See, this is the next year. So I'm probably now at this point, I'm probably more like 10 years old. I was probably 9 in the first one. I'm probably 10. Now, this is a go-kart that my dad had built, and Davey's sitting in it, and um, it's on what we used to call the garage floor. That was a garage that my dad started but never finished as part of this remodeling project. So we had what we call the garage floor back there, which we had all the time I was there. But this go-kart, you'll see a little action on the go-kart a little bit later, but I do remember that vaguely, that my dad had built this go-kart, and you'll see it um, in action here in a little bit. So, and there I am with them wearing a pair of ridiculously short shorts, which for some reason I thought was a good idea to wear outside. So that's young David, probably 2. Beth 4 or 5, and then I'm 10. And she's running through the sprinkler there in the backyard. Now there's the go-kart. So on Cortlandt Avenue, and you're going to see a lot of people here. You can see what the neighborhood looked like too. Um, I think that's me, the back of my head there, standing there watching. But you can see kind of what the cars look like. We did a lot of playing out in that street. It wasn't a busy street or anything, but that's my brother David right there, David Cusick. But it's obviously a big day. We were the center of attention there in Cortlandt Avenue with the go-kart running up and down the street there. Lots of people out watching that, so we were kind of like the royalty of Cortlandt Avenue. There's my dad there, Roy, riding the go-kart down the street. This freezes up a couple times. It'll get out of there. There's Kathy, and there's this car right here is the Corvair. She used to have this Corvair, but you can kind of see some of the different neighbors, I think, from around. They look familiar to me, some of them. You see, there's that driveway again. It's a stone driveway. Everybody else had a paved driveway. We had a stone driveway for a long time. Finally got it paved later on. But I think that's my dad out in the street and my brother there on the edge of the driveway. And this is Trudy coming in here, who's been riding the go-kart. And there's Kathy and holding Davy there. David, young David. So I'm thinking Kathy's like maybe 18, 19 years old right there. Just a guess. There's my dad. You get another view. See, there's that telephone pole in the back, which was really there were people that hit that telephone pole backing out of the driveway. You don't really think of a telephone pole being in the back of somebody's driveway, but anyway, this is just some movies they had of them riding bikes around with Beth. Here we are here we are, and you can kind of see. I think another year has passed now. I look a little bit older, so I might be like 11 or even 12 right now. I don't know, because David looks like he might be 2 or 3. Beth might be 5, 6 years old, 5. I don't know. So a little bit. You can see I'm getting a little taller and skinnier, maybe. Some of this may be a distortion of the uh, the video or whatever quality, but it kind of looks like it. Beth sitting on the porch. And you see that car always sat there. My dad was always, you see he's building, it's kind of dirt back there. He put this addition onto the house, so which made it bigger, created like a family room area in addition to the living room and the still very small house, the living room and the kitchen, and then this little family room, and also a room upstairs above it. More fun on the edge of the garage floor, um, which is now a balance beam, obviously. Now, this I think once again is Waterloo, Indiana, my grandparents' house in Waterloo, Indiana, and this is definitely Grandma Johnson coming out, and we think it's her sister Aunt Irene, I believe, um, coming out from the house. There were a couple. She had a couple sisters who lived right around there close that I remember visiting. But this will be another one of those situations where they are posing for a movie, posing for a video, which I guess is something people did at that time. Maybe they still do today. So anyway, that was in the backyard. There were, like I said, I used to think it was a farmhouse, but just really a garden. So that's about it. Just some clips that we found on video and thought you might like to see those or have those.